My name is Thomas Holland, and you're watching Throttle House. And today is a very important day, a holy day, a sacred day. Because today I get to tell you about the Genesis G70 2.0T Sport. And this is a very special day for three reasons. Number one, it's rear-wheel drive. Number two, it has a limited slip differential. And number three, it has a manual transmission. Yes, you can get a BMW M3 that has all of those things, but this car reminds us that once upon a time, those things were available to the average enthusiast. This G70 Sport only costs $45,500 Canadian, and it's luxurious and quiet. But not only that, it reminds us that we can be pampered while also having a good time on a back road. Sure, there are lots of impressive and fun sports sedans out there right now, but Genesis has deliberately stripped it all back to remind us that sports sedans can be as pure as a Miata. Sure, it has a premium sound system and a heads-up display, but it also has a 2-liter turbo motor, making 225 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque, mated to a 6-speed manual transmission going to the rear wheels through a limited slip differential. This car is a rolling #SaveTheManuals ambassador. So do your part. Post a picture of your manual on Instagram with that hashtag and tag @TheThrottleHouse. Oh, and subscribe here on YouTube. Let's get to it. Now today, it's very difficult to get a car like this. That's why I'm so excited. See how excited I am. You can get a BMW with a manual transmission, but it has xDrive, and it's way more money than this. You can't get an Audi that's anything similar to this at all, and Mercedes don't think they make anything that's even close to what I'm driving right now. This is history. This is why I got involved in cars in the first place. This is a comfortable, luxurious sports sedan with rear-wheel drive and a manual transmission, combining together comfort, luxury, and refinement with athleticism and fun. And it's very difficult to do, and Genesis has pretty much done it. This G70 is lots of fun. There's a lot of things about it that I don't like, if I'm perfectly honest, and I'll tell you about them. But I'm gonna go easy on it because this is a really important car and I'm really excited about it. I'm very happy that they made this thing. So let's talk about the good stuff because there is a lot of that. Now, this has 255 horsepower, which is not that much. But you don't really miss the extra horsepower because the way that they've done the drivetrain, the way they've done the torque curve, the way that the power happens throughout the rev range makes you want to run out the gears. And that makes the car just fun. It makes it instantly fun to drive. And since it's a manual, it's a positive feedback loop. You see how this works? You want to run out the gears, therefore you have to shift. When you shift, you have to run out the gears more. You see how this works? The manual transmission is fun, it's satisfying to drive. I'm gonna put it in sport mode right now, which in my current setting makes the steering a little bit heavier, it makes the throttle a little bit sharper, and it brings out the engine noise. It's artificial, but I don't care because it still sounds good. And we put our foot down, the cabin is filled with a weird synthesized version of 2-liter turbo. But as I said, it doesn't matter because I'm having a good time. And I get to roll my own gears. Doing it right now. This is me going down into second. I've decided to do that because I can. Foot down, up into third, around a corner, balance the throttle, rear wheel drive. You can feel the tires start to squirm a little bit. There's communication coming through the steering wheel that I really do like, by the way. The steering is good. It's not excellent, but it is very good. It's actually quite sharp. There's a really solid on-center feel that I really like. And there's a really obvious moment when you turn into the corner. A little bit of lean in the chassis, but you feel the car turn in. You feel the resistance of the tires, which means that it is engaging in the front end. The front end does feel quite sharp. This is on a staggered setup of tires, Michelin PS4s, which are quite a sticky tire. But it's a staggered setup. Now, if I was going to buy this car, I would probably go right to a square setup, which means the same size of tires on all four corners, because that would probably cause it to be a little bit more oversteery. I haven't really been able to explore the limits of this car completely, but I can tell you that it's generally set up for understeer. That doesn't mean that it isn't fun, though. You have an LSD, so you hammer the throttle in a low-speed corner and the rear does come around, and you can feel the tires break away predictively. Okay, so it has all the fun of rear-wheel drive. This is an exciting car. Let's talk about the styling of the Genesis G70 for just a second, because I think that this profile is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. Yes, they've kind of lifted some bits from other cars that you might know, but it all kind of works together in its own very Genesis way, if that's a thing. It's a thing now, I guess. Genesis is its own brand. This kind of like Nike swoosh here is maybe a bit much, and it doesn't need to be so chrome, but I think it plays into the character of the car very well. These 19-inch wheels, offset with the red Brembo brakes and this kind of icy blue gray, I think looks fantastic. Because this is what I'm going to buy in 10 years when the prices are really low, and I'm literally going to strip out the interior, I'm going to weld in a roll cage, and I'm going to make it a race car. Because that's what I've done with my old BMW. In fact, this car reminds me of my stock E46 BMW from 2001. You get the idea? A new BMW doesn't feel like this. A new BMW feels good, but it doesn't feel like this. This feels pure. It's a purist's car, and it's doing that part very, very well. Manual transmission is good. The gears are very positive. You can feel it slot in, very BMW-like. Smooth, yet obvious when you get into gear. There is quite a long throw between the shifts, but that doesn't really bother me. It doesn't feel bad at all. It just makes for a more obvious motion when you put it into gear. The clutch feels okay when you're at speed, but the uptake as you start to pull away is a little bit strange. I actually stalled this car, if I'm perfectly honest. The first time I've stalled a car in a while, because the bite point isn't super obvious. It feels like there's an artificial spring to the clutch pedal, and once you get used to it, it's fine, but I don't really like that. There is a little bit of rev hang in between the gears. I do have to say that, but as I said, I'm not complaining about it because this is a manual transmission sports sedan with a rear wheel drive. It's got all the good stuff. And when you're not driving it in sport mode, which I do all the time, it's calm and comfortable, and it's the Genesis G70. You've probably seen my Genesis G70 3.3T review. That's a fantastic car. This is also a fantastic car. It has all of that stuff, but with a little bit more of a pure feel. So, what's the rest of it like to live with? Really good. I go into a lot more detail in my 3.3T Sport review, which you should watch, but I'm going to go over some of the basic stuff here for you right now. The interior is very spacious, okay? It is very well made. There are some evidence of cost savings here and there. For example, this center console down here is a hard plastic. But other than that, some of the areas are, you know what? Everything's really soft touch. I've got a nice pad for my knee down here. And the controls are very well laid out, and they look really expensive. I've got hard buttons for radio, media, seek, track, home, phone setup. I've got a volume knob and a tuning knob, and I have a very simple climate control system with 3 knobs. That's the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. The infotainment is excellent. I like it. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I would say the touchscreen is maybe a little bit too far away, but it's not really that big of an issue because the touchscreen is responsive and it's very intuitive to use. But I'm not worried about that right now because we're on a back road and I have a manual transmission sports sedan. Whee! I'm such a child. Oh God, this is a fun car. So no, it's not a super fast car, but the things that matter have been done right. Yeah, you could tune it, I'm sure, and you could make it a lot faster, but the way it is, it's fun, right? It's a little bit of turbo lag. The throttle isn't very responsive, so downshifts, while the pedals are spaced really well for heel toes and regular downshifts, the throttle response isn't very good. So you have to kind of hold your foot down on it for a second, even in sport mode. I would like that part to be improved. But the driving position is excellent. Here I am sitting exactly where I want to be sitting. I'm low, my seat back is upright, and I'm the perfect distance to the wheel because the steering wheel telescopes. The steering wheel feels very good in my hands, by the way. Now, the rest of the ergonomics of the cabin are very intuitive. Everything is exactly where you think it would be. And Hyundai and Genesis do some things that I really like. Kia does this as well. One very simple one, for example, is that when I turn my windshield wipers on, it shows me off, auto, low, and high. So I'm not fighting with it, trying to figure out what mode am I in. Oh, my wipers are still on. It will actually just tell me when I hit the thing. Now I'm off. Right? That's just a very simple, very obvious solution to a problem that everyone seems to have in a car. Now, so what else about the car do I like? Well, I like the way that it looks. I like the color. I like its road manners. I like the ride. it's soft but controlled. It's not quite at the levels of BMW refinement in the middle of a corner. You get a little bit of hop sometimes if you hit a bump. The Stinger does this too. But it's still quite planted. It's still quite controllable. And it's very obvious that the balance in the chassis is decent. I can't tell you 100% if it's that good. I would love to have one of these on a track to see what it's capable of. But out here on a back road, everything is hunky-dory. There's no problems with it whatsoever. All right, let's give it a little blast here. The rev hang in between gears is fine once you get used to it, but listen. Yeah, the way that they have tuned the power band is very NA-like. Yeah, it feels like as you run up to the top of the gear, it builds more and more torque. That had to have been intentional because it makes you want to run out the gears. The power is up there, and then you get to shift. See? Positive feedback loop. I love it. Genesis must have just looked at the market and looked at the enthusiasts and what they were saying and went, what's everyone complaining about? Oh, there aren't any rear-wheel drive sports sedans anymore. No one's making one. Let's make one of those. They had to have been on Reddit. They had to have gone on Reddit and went on our cars and read discussions and go, what can we do that's going to capture guys like me? Look how excited I am. You see how this works? It worked. Thank you, Genesis, for creating this car. Because I am a BMW E46 generation owner. I told you that. And I have two of those cars because they are well-balanced, simple, pure rear-wheel drive sports sedans, and even have limited slip differentials. You couldn't get an LSD on a non-M BMW since the E36 generation going back into the 90s. So it's been 20 years since we were able to have this configuration, a moderately well-powered, well-priced, rear-wheel drive with a limited slip differential sports sedan with a manual transmission. This car represents guys like me. This is why I got involved with cars in the first place, because this thing can be comfortable and refined and well made, and it can still be fun. And if you strip it down to its purest form, if you take this car and remove all of the extras, you lighten it and you harden it, I think that it would become like what I am picturing in my head, like an old type of BMW. Pure, balanced, rear-wheel drive fun. Genesis, what they have done here is they haven't created a sports sedan. They have literally dropped the mic and walked off the stage. So, thank you for watching Throttle House. My name is Thomas Holland. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell because we've got lots more stuff like this coming at you all through the winter and in the fall and the rest of the summer. There's still lots of really cool summertime cars coming before I get smacked with an ungodly Canadian winter, which I'm sure is coming. As I said, make sure you subscribe. I've got a website as well, thethrottlehouse.com, and follow me on Instagram @thethrottlehouse. I don't think there's anything else that I'm supposed to tell you. Yep, that's it. Bye.